So guys, look, here's what here's the drill for today, and we're gonna talk about 3 power secrets for your topspin serve. And again, this could help you eliminate double faults, and so that it just doesn't sit up over there. And any questions you've got, any comments, any questions throughout the workshop today, just go ahead and type them into the chat box and make sure that you put it to all attendees and panelists. And unless it's totally private and you just want me to see it, then you can say all panelists I get. But that's the way that we're going to be able to answer your questions today. The only voices you'll be hearing are mine and Lisa's. There won't be anyone else on, so the only way that you can communicate with us is through that chat box. So I want to do a quick introduction, and my apologies, Roy, for not having a picture up here of Lisa, but we are going to get to one. I've got one as we go through the slides here up here. So you're going to see her beautiful mug coming up here pretty soon. But I just want to do a quick little intro, Lisa Dodson, who I've known. Gosh, when did we first meet? I know that was that
a long time ago. BTC. I moved to California in like 94, so we probably met somewhere in the late 90s, I'd imagine.
It could have been. And I remember you played over at the Pacific Coast of the Berkeley Tennis Club. And, and that kind of stuff. So the inventor of the Serve Master, which we're going to get into later in the presentation, which is actually over at the totalserve.com. Former WTA player. I mean, I think ranked within the top 250.
I was in the mid 200s. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It was okay for just a really good athlete who wasn't a trained tennis player. So I just kind of went out there and did the best I could, and it was a great experience.
Well, I mean, I've looked at your bio, and you're a multi-sport world-class sport athlete, mm-hmm. which is impressive, and probably one of the reasons that you've got such a natural service motion. And then currently the tennis director over at the Shenorock Shore Club is that Westchester, New York? Yeah,
it's in Rye is actually the town.
Right, New York. Okay.
Yeah, it's a seasonal. I'm there for about 5 months.
Okay.
Well, the weather's good.
No, that's great. Well, so for you guys who, maybe the few of you who do not know Lisa Dodson, she comes with a lot of street cred, and not only as a player, but also as a coach. And like me, I don't know, how many decades you've been teaching?
Oh, geez.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Probably at least I've been teaching for over 40 years, 45 years.
That's right.
Something like that. From the beginning as a, nothing to, so it's closer to, like 45 years. Right. Long time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I know that we've got some folks on here today that have no idea who I am, which is not saying anything. But Brent Abel, and I've been lucky enough. I mean, I've been teaching like Lisa for, 45 plus years, and got out of the club teaching business in 2005, where I was at the California Tennis Club in San Francisco, retired from that because I wanted to do what you see up here on the screen. I wanted to be able to start playing and training and playing some tournaments, and been fortunate to win 10 national USA titles in singles and doubles over that time, and started WebTennis.com. Actually started WebTennis.net 20 years ago, 1999, when I got my first domain. It took me a couple of years to be able to buy WebTennis.com because some guy in South America was cyber squatting on it. And I finally had to get them down to a reasonable price, end up buying that domain. And then I've been recently, I've got a project with my good friend, Jeff Jackledge. Do you know Jeff, Lisa?
I do. We've met a number of times. He's a Serve Master user. He likes that. I've been watching your webinar with him. It's really good.
He's really good.
You guys have a good time too.
We have a blast. I mean, we're actually having more fun than maybe teaching. I don't know. But it's goal
but that's what it's all about.
It is. It's gold ball hunting. I got a period there. It should be I got a comma there. It should be a period. But the project we've got is goldballhunting.com, and we are doing a daily episode of our podcast. Today we published episode number 214 in a row. So
wow.
So we're having a good time, and 45-year coaching career. And so, guys, let's get into talking about the topspin serve. And you know, my topspin serve, gosh, I would say, and this was before I got to see Tom Stowe, which was back in the 80s. But I could never really figure out what he taught me. And this was in a group of guys. There was 3 other guys, and I kind of begged my way into this group. There was Doug King, John Hubble, and Steve Stefanki in this group, and they were all working with Mr. Stowe. These guys at the time were like all within the top 5 of NorCal in the open division with the guys. And then there was me, which was about, maybe 282. I don't know. But one of the things that really Mr. Stowe helped me with is what I'm going to show you guys today. Is really 3 things that he did that really kind of changed my serve from being a sitter to actually having a pretty good bounce. I mean, on my really good days, I can actually get it to get some kick to where it really does do some damage out wide, but that's not really my goal on it. I'm really trying to do 2 things. Number one, I am trying to eliminate double faults, but I'm really much more trying to get it up and out of the strike zone on a consistent basis. So it's just not sitting there, and whether it's singles or doubles. And so I really struggled before I saw Mr. Stowe, and worked with him only for about 18 months before he eventually passed away. But that was in 82, 83. He passed away in 83, and 84 was when I won my first gold ball, won the first national title in doubles, 35 hard courts, which were then hosted in Mill Valley, California. But it was a combination of 2 things. Was the serve, was setting up my partner, and our ability to be able to handle their returns. I mean, be able to handle their kick serves as well. Mm-hmm. So for those of you guys who are struggling with your topspin serve, even kicker, I've been there. I know the feeling, and it's really frustrating. And today's workshop hopefully is going to give you 3 secrets so that you can get more power and apply a high quality spin to be able to control that power. So power secret number 1, and here's what I want to do, Lisa, is I want you to chime in whenever you feel like you want to add something to it. Sure. Please do so. Will do. I'm going to go through each one of the power secrets, and then I'm going to explain it once, and then I'm going to minimize the screen here, and I'm going to get 2 videos up on the screen, and we'll go through each one of the power secrets so that we can see them not only in text but also with a video. One of the things that I was doing on my topspin serve is I was doing what I'd been told, which is you gotta get the toss, if not on top of your head, you got to get the toss behind you. And this was for more of the topspin kicker. And for me, I could make the ball spin. I could get the upspin. I could not get any power, right? I could get top. It would go over, but then it would just sit up. And so what Mr. Stowe showed me was, well, look, if you want to get some power on this, you cannot, unless you're a young 18, 19-year-old, early 20-something young buck who's got that kind of flexibility, that kind of strength, you cannot put the toss back there and think that you can get any power. And so this is when I was in the 35s, and sure enough, I started putting my toss out in front, and I naturally started getting a lot more swing speed before I made contact with the ball. Whereas before, the swing speed was hardly anything because the ball was behind me. So in other words, what was happening with the toss out in front is I was able to generate more swing speed by being able to reach out in front. And then the other thing is that you've got to finish the tossing motion so that you get into the power swing setup position. And I see a lot of players who don't do that. And this is one of the mistakes I was making, Lisa, is I was tossing in a way where the ball would leave my hand and then my elbow would kind of bend, and I would never get myself up into a proper finish position on the tossing motion. Yeah,
and I think that's good. You're clarifying what this power swing setup position is, because I don't know that people know what you're really referring to.
Yeah. So if we look at it from, I'm assuming that you can see the videos right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So in this first one on the left, if you watch where, let's just watch the ball here. I want you to watch where, if I wasn't to swing,
yeah,
here's the ball, right? and it would land, you know, if it just dropped down from there, it's landing at least a foot inside the court,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so for me, once I got the toss out in front, and I know that this is maybe not instinctive for a lot of players who've been told, don't toss in front for the topspin serve. We'll get to that in just a second, because there's a vital component to this thing that if you do toss in front, that you've got to do to be able to get the spin you want. But let's kind of back up on this tossing motion a little bit. So that's thing one, right? Where we're going to toss out in front. But here's what would happen to me is I would get about here, the ball would leave my hand, and then I would stop the tossing motion and really not get into. And as you watch if you watch the tossing arm finish, it puts me into a much deeper position to be able to swing up to meet the ball.
Right. So your hand is really, it's almost at one point headed back, just almost right there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And here it's not on, I mean, the ball doesn't end up on top of my hand, right?
Correct.
It's out here in front.
Because, well, you've let go of it forward of you and your hand just continues up.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. So when I think of my release point, I think of, I'm only halfway through the toss, or of lifting the arm up.
Right.
So here the ball is gone. I had a webinar, I had a student this morning online. He literally stopped here. And his shoulders were not even at this angle. His shoulders were completely level. So he never got into this position. So the ball leaves, and I still feel there's a rhythm to the tossing arm that continues up all the way, so that the finished position here sets this shoulder, the racket shoulder, into what eventually becomes the shoulder that you use to swing up to the ball. So guys, if you've got any questions, what I would love to do is read right now into the chat box. If you have any questions on kind of this power, or tip number one for getting more power on your topspin serve is to toss out in front. It could be infidel in the temple. Everyone's saying don't ever do that. But if you're struggling with not getting enough power, then one of the reasons is you are trying to toss back in here. You're probably getting the spin you want, but you're not getting any power. So thank you, John.
Yeah.
Love gold ball hunting. It's like tennis advice received in a bar. Right.
I love that.
That's good. Well, we do try to make it kind of good.
So I think what's interesting too on this picture, though, Brent, is the ball is forward, but you're because your left arm is raised and your right arm is obviously behind you, you're kind of leaning, I don't want to say leaning back, but your upper body is back, but your legs are forward. So that's probably what's going to help a lot with getting up for the topspin hit.
That's right. Yeah,
because if your upper body was forward, you're not going to be able to do it. I just think that's an interesting shot right there.
Right, and I mean, you got to make sure you don't get out here too far on your front foot. Correct. Meaning that this part here, your upper body's not in front at this point.
Right.
One of the things that I did not list, but something else that will help you think about that I felt from Mr. Stowe, and this I got from him, is that the ball is kind of attached on a string to your front hip.
Yep. So
that it sort of pulls the hip. I'm pointing at it like everyone's looking at my finger pointing at it. So it's kind of like the front hip gets pulled out here to actually get you on balance.
Yeah.
And so there's power secret number one, is the combination of toss in front and make sure that you finish the tossing motion all the way up.
So when your toss is in front, is it more like a 12 o'clock toss or more like a 1 o'clock toss? Is it more in front of your nose and more in front of your right shoulder?
Well, let's go over to the one over here on the right.
Video number 2.
You will see where it stays. And you tell me on the face of a clock, where is that?
Right there. It's between 12 and 1. It's a slightly, it's more to the right. It's slightly more to the right. Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. Because I mean, the 12 o'clock position, when people say toss at 12 o'clock, whatever, they generally mean over the head, not 12 o'clock in front of your nose. And I think that's just a really good point to clarify. There's really not a serve, as far as I know, with the toss that's in front of your nose.
Yeah, I mean,
because your shoulder's always to the right, and if it's in front of you there's no way to get efficiently, or even in a healthy way, get your racket forward to the ball.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
So yeah, I mean, and you can see the ball right here. If the ball is, even if it's in front, but it's I mean, even if it's not on top of me, but it's still in front, this is not a natural throwing motion, right? We don't throw from behind us over the top of our head.
Right.
Right. I mean, it ends up coming over the right shoulder at 1 o'clock. So we will get back into the rest of this here. I want to go through the next power secret here. And that is, okay, we've done this. We've done this, done the video. And here comes power secret number 2. So we talked a little bit about this, right? About keeping your weight back. Is that too often what happens when I see players, when they think about tossing out in front, is they get their upper body. They get their upper body out in front.
Right.
And when they toss out there. And when you do that, what happens is you no longer have the ability to kind of extend up into the ball. You're just kind of falling. You're kind of bending, kind of jackknifing at the waist. So you got to make sure that, and we'll go through this again in the videos, but that, like I showed you with the hip, how the front hip kind of slides out in front, that helps keep your weight back, so that when you settle in, you get balance, you get good posture, you're then ready to be able to launch the swing. What's John saying? Or Robin, never had any trouble with my twist serve, even with my tossing arm stopping far short.
She's not on I can't see that one.
Yeah, no, that one's just all panelists. It's just all panelists. I'm not. Okay, all right. So, all right, Robin. Well, Robin just says that, when trying to toss the right and then get the swing shoulder over shoulder, lost my toss, which had served me well for 55 years. I know that all great servers toss like you do, but I'm still struggling to get that toss and rhythm right. All right, John, well, I got something for you here at the end. I've got a suggestion for you that maybe you and I can get together on a private call, just a free coaching call, and we can kind of work through that. So back here to power secret number 2, keep your weight back. And then the next thing is to swing up from your racket shoulder. And let me go and show you now what that looks like when you swing up from your racket shoulder. So this will be a good example right here in the video on the left, is that once I settle in to the finish of the tossing motion, and my weight is on my front foot, but I'm still centered more, I'm balanced more here right down the middle. So my upper body's not in front. And once I do that, now I'm in a position, and I feel that the swing, Lisa, actually, I try to start the upswing with the racket shoulder. I try to make sure that I'm not just reaching up with the hand. I want to really get my elbow and my shoulder to go up. And when I get the shoulder to go up, you kind of get a big racket drop behind you. And this is where you start getting racket acceleration. And racket acceleration is obviously the key to raw power. And then how you address the ball is how you apply the spin to control that power. But I want everyone to think about that as you come into your tossing finish, that I'm really focused on my shoulder. Right now, I'm feeling my shoulder ready to move up to the ball. And I used to not do that. I used to just sort of stay right here in this kind of the racket, the shoulders are level. And from there, just kind of reach up with a hand. And I really didn't get the same kind of quality spin. I certainly never got the same kind of power. So think about reaching up initially with the shoulder, and that will get the racket to give you some extra racket speed, which equates to power. Lisa.
Yeah. I think too, and I was just kind of scanning some of the comments and questions, and there's sort of this misconception that a lot of your kick comes, you focus too much on the tricep. And the tricep is not a big muscle compared to all the other ones that are involved in this hit. So when you go for your shoulder, like you're doing, that engages the main part of the hit and gets everything going. Then your tricep naturally gets into action, right? Your tricep can, I read something before where whatever that was in the beginning, we're trying to snap it up, but your tricep and the rest of your arm is going to have the power from the shoulder going up. And I think there's always just too much concentration on straightening your tricep, and that's going to happen as a result of all the other bigger moves.
Absolutely. And frankly, I've never ever heard that before. I've never.
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Well,
and
okay,
I've heard that's why women can't hit a kick serve, which is really not correct. But it's that we have weak triceps.
Well, look, I mean, to
I've
me,
heard that more than once.
Well, anytime someone has me focus on a muscle,
exactly,
it's kind of like I start tensing that muscle, and believe me, if you've got any tension here at all, it just slows the racket speed down.
Exactly.
So
it's just a part of the process.
It is. Totally.
That's a pretty darn good looking serve, Brent.
Well, thank you.
I like it.
Your shoulder is throwing your elbow skyward, not just your forearm. That's right. No, Larry's right. Lead with him first, or shoulder first. Thanks. Okay. Very interesting stuff. Guys, make sure that when you type in the message that it's to all panelists and attendees, use the service motion before ball contact for all of your serves. And yes, I mean, the reason, Al, that, and I'm going to go over here to the video on the right, is the reason that I use this tossing motion on every one of my serves is because, come on, man, here we go, is because I can from right here, I can go tee, I can go body, I can go slice. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason that I don't toss anymore above my head or to my left is because it just tells the opponent what's coming. So from this toss placement right here, just simply depending on when I might or where I might address the ball with the racket, when I might open up the hand, release the wrist, or when I might open the shoulders, it's just going to be a slight, minute change in terms of the ball direction.
Right.
But every one of my serves, whether it's the first serve, second serve, a slice, out wide, down the tee, whatever it is, it all has the same look, so that I got to keep you guessing.
Yeah. At your level, you do.
Okay. Right.
Got to keep them guessing.
Got to keep them guessing. All right, let's go on to power secret number 3, which is, I think we've done that. Let me share mine. Is that? I can't see it. That's number 2. All right, back here. And power secret number 3. So here's kind of like, I'm hoping it's the big takeaway today, because what I've got you guys tossing out in front. As Lisa pointed out, I'm tossing at about 1 o'clock on the face of a clock, so slightly to my right as a right-handed player. And so if I naturally open up my shoulders with a toss in front, I can't get topspin. I can get maybe a 3/4 spin, but it's going due left because the ball's out in front. So what I feel is that with the toss in front, and I'm reaching up with the shoulder and the racket's going up to address it, I've got to stay sideways at contact. Do I actually stay completely sideways? Probably not. But that's the feeling I have to have, so that I allow the racket to come up my back or up from behind my back at such an angle that it goes up past the ball and creates the upspin, that creates the topspin that we want. And instinctively what happens, for the first few times when I get a student to toss out in front on their topspin serve, is they can do that, but then they go out to it and they get the shoulders open too soon. And if they're serving the deuce court, they're serving way wide.
Right.
Or if they're serving to the ad court, they're serving in the middle of the box of the deuce court. So you've got to stay sideways at contact and trust that you don't need to be turning in too early. And lots of times players, they actually turn in too soon because they're concerned about what the result's going to be of their serve, and they want to see right away. And you've got to sort of get the feeling of what it's like to stay sideways at contact. And here's another little thing that really has helped me. And you and I actually talked about this, I think, kind of at length earlier today when we were doing our test, Lisa, was I don't toss to a height, or I don't reach up to a height where I'm fully extended, so that I don't make contact with the arm completely extended. I want a little bit, like an inch. I don't know what the exact distance is, but I want you to understand the concept, everybody, is that I want to leave a little bit upswing of room left after I make contact. I want to swing up past the ball, not just kind of coming down on top of it and kind of rolling forward, because I'm not tall enough. I'm not John Isner. I'm not 6'10". I'm not, any of those guys. Just a little 5'9". Used to be 5'10". I think I've shrunk. I think that started back in the 65s or something. But the point is that I want to leave a little contact room in terms of being able to keep my swing going up past the contact point. Again, it feels like an inch. Maybe it's 2 inches. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, so many instructors say to contact at your highest extension, which is not correct, because that's a non-power position. You've already spent all of your power. Now you're at the top, and your racket doesn't have any other place to continue through. It would be like almost like stopping follow through on a forehand. You gotta have room to continue through the head.
Yeah,
that's a great
exactly
point.
Right. So here's what I feel is, I don't know why I am. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very little. Here we go. Let's try this again. See if this will work. And I don't know if you can see it because it's lit. No, I can't. I'm
skipping right over it.
With this. I'm gonna manually just kind of go through it here. But the toss does settle down. It settles down a bit, but then I go and I hit the toss back up a hair, and it just, I didn't have the frame rate on this right. There's not enough that you can really see, but I try to feel like when I reach up, that is not the very top of my extension. Yeah. I feel like the top of my extension is
Wasn't
still
that the true meaning of hitting up to the ball? I mean, that you just defined what hitting up to the ball is, and every tennis pro says that. Hit up to it. And that's exactly what you're doing. Your racket's approaching the ball from below.
Right.
And you're hitting it at a power point, and your racket is continuing to move up. And that's what most people do incorrectly, because they try and contact and hit down.
Yeah. So I'm trying to hit this. I'm looking at the video on the right.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to hit up.
Yeah.
And over and.
But from here, we couldn't see the ball. The ball's going up off of your racket first. It's not going down off your racket. It's just always going to go up, but I don't think we can see it from this angle.
Yeah.
How the ball's traveling. We can see how you're hitting it, but now we don't know from there.
That's right.
Actually, slightly going up. I can see it, but I'm sure lots of because I'm looking for it, but lots of other people can't see it.
Right. So the point is you got to leave a little bit of room, right, in your contact point, so that you've got so that you can actually swing up through that contact point just a bit. So we got stay sideways of contact, leave a little height, and there's actually a couple of other little things that will help you guys too. Is some other power secrets. When you were talking about muscles before. To me, every time I hear the word muscle, I just think, someone's just going to tighten up here. And it all starts with the fingers on the racket. And once you do this, you might have the perfect swing path on your serve. You could have the perfect toss position, the great finish position in the tossing motion. But if you've got any form of the death grip, you're just slowing the swing down, and you can't get the same power out of racket speed that you can as if it's, you know, I mean, I was taught by the great Barry McKay originally, who had a incredible serve. And he would just say, look, if I can come over and actually pull the racket out of your hand, that's probably just about right. You don't, you know, you don't want to be squeezing this thing. So let me go back before we go to the next one, and let's see if we've got some more things we can.
Did any of your pros or people you work with have you do like serving with just 2 fingers on the racket?
Absolutely. In fact, what he did, he had me put my hand down so low in the grip that my baby finger was off the racket.
Yeah.
And
but we used to do just with the like pinchers, the first finger and the thumb, off the butt of the racket, just holding onto the flared end, just those 2 fingers, and you feel like you're completely whippy, out of control, and that if you have a good swing path, that just lets the racket head go.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So that's kind of the feeling. I mean, the feeling is that it's probably a lot more relaxed than you think it is, and I think a lot of players get concerned, especially if it's 40-30 or at some big point, is they just get, and it's not perceptible sometimes unless you realize that, you know what, I wonder if I'm a little bit strong in the grip here. It's a big point. I need to make sure that I'm listening it. All right, let me go with some of these questions. Can you achieve that with extra shoulder turn on take back? Let me see what Larry was talking about here before.
Your shoulders throwing your elbow.
Oh, your shoulders throwing your elbow, Sky, and not just your forearm. Yeah, I mean, Larry, look, if you can get into a fuller shoulder turn on the take back, that's fine.
I don't think you need it though, do you?
I don't think so either. And let's be realistic. Depending on the age group you're in, you might not have that flexibility anymore. And if you do, that's great. But I've seen some people go, hey, I just saw my pro, and the guy said, you know, I got to get my shoulders turned way more. And the next thing you know is the lower back is tweaked. And so you got to be careful with some of these things, that you just don't take it for granted. Well, that's what I got to do when you start. I mean, look, a little deeper shoulder turn, fine. Try it. See what happens. And
the other thing that happens is the toss then starts going all over the place. So you really have to be careful with that.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you've got to be able to make sure that you stay in control of that toss. So let me see. Pete's talking about, but do you think that the hip rotation is an important factor in creating power for serve? So hip rotation, as opposed to what I think of the hips that do, I mean, the hips could be part of the shoulders and turn in terms of turning back. Try to get, but just like Lisa said, it could be you start losing control of your toss. But I don't think of the hips turning as much as I want my front hip. For me, that's the left hip as a right-handed server. I want that I think of it sort of being pulled out with the tossing motion. The toss, I feel, kind of pulls my left hip forward so that it gets in front of me and it keeps my upper body back behind. Like we said earlier, is make sure you don't get out on that front foot too soon. So I think of really kind of taking my left hip, and it's more like it's just part of the tossing motion. It just goes forward, which keeps my upper body back behind, so I get into that really deep swing setup position. And to me, look, guys, I would not worry so much about the shoulder turn, the hip rotation. I would really, really make sure that you're finishing your tossing motion, number one. Because a lot of players don't. A lot of players abbreviate it. They either flip the ball up there off the fingertips, the wrist breaks, elbow bends, and you might be able to perfect a great tossing placement that way, but you're never going to get yourself into the proper swing setup for that serve. And that's really where.
Can I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. We're just kind of skipping here a little bit along with what you're saying. The next question from JR, any tips on getting maximum racket drop and getting into that position with the toss hand straight up?
Yeah.
That's going to be one of your best ways to get maximum racket drop, because you're getting in a position where your left shoulder is, or if you're a right-hander, much higher than your right, and it's going to be easier to get into that racket drop position along with not having a death grip. So those two are kind of, I think, are really key for that. It goes right along with what you were saying.
So what you're saying here is make sure that you really get the finish positioning The
Yeah,
fixed
if you don't
position of
get
the
that,
toss.
you're not going to be able to drop your racket because your
Yeah.
shoulder angle is not going to be
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
If your toss arm was lower and more parallel to the ground, you're not going to be able to get the drop.
Right.
Because it starts before you get the drop. Your ability to get the position starts before you actually drop your racket down your back. It's a process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a path. It's not all of a sudden I'm going to drop my racket down my back. It happens. One thing happens because of another. And if you don't get your toss arm in that position to begin with, your timing isn't going to be such that you're going to be able to get your racket drop all the way down your back. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah. JR, one of you let us know if that makes sense. Here's a pet peeve I've got. And I'm hoping you don't do this, Lisa, because
what?
As a teaching pro. So like a lot of players, they ask the same question. Well, how do I get the racket drop? And so the way I explain it is that the racket drop position, which is let's say it's here.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm looking at the left side video here. What I see is too many guys or gals trying to teach someone by putting them into this position first and then tossing.
Right.
And to me, this position is never a static position, right? It's just a position. This position right here could be a hair static, right? Is you could pause right here. But once you decide to go down and swing, it's got to stay continuous.
Exactly.
And so.
No, I don't do that. Lucky for you.
Even if you do, that's fine. I'm just saying that, and you know what? I used to teach this.
Yeah.
I say, all right, well, once you start with a racket down your back and let's try it. It just never worked. It never gave them the feeling, because the feeling is not the racket drop as the feeling is the swing behind your back.
Right.
And how it's all continuous. And that just, the racket drop position is just a point of that swing path, but it's definitely not static. Let's see if we get some other ones here. And guys, if you've got a question, just make sure that it's cool. Just make sure that you type into all panelists and attendees so that Lisa can see it as well. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay, here we go. You can see the ball remains above Brent's head, significantly past his contact point, which is not what it would look like if he were hitting down on the ball. Well, that's good. I'm glad you can see that, David. That's great. Guys, and if you're trying to raise your hand, button, I know there's a hand raise thing. That's not the same thing as leaving a message in the chat box. Okay. And Larry's going, staying sideways, I'm trying to go back to what Larry might have said before. Can you achieve that with extra shoulder turn on the take back? I see. Staying sideways, no, I don't think so, because the moment of truth is the ball's out in front. And if the toss were behind you, Larry, then I suppose you could, but you need to stay sideways at contact. In fact, let me go back to the video here on the right, and let me see if I can give you a little bit of an idea of what sideways might look like. So, like I said before, I'm not facing forward, and maybe I'm facing kind of towards the gate here, but it's too often when you toss in front, I see players that are, when they make contact, they're in this position facing forward, forget the arm, but they're kind of facing forward, and then they're reaching up, and now the spin wants to go due left if you're a right-handed player.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is forward, your right foot would be further forward. Your right foot stays back longer. That's what's helping to keep you back sideways longer, really.
That's right. All right, guys. John, outstanding. We'll proceed with enthusiasm. Guys, don't worry if you don't ask a question or it doesn't, you don't need to take notes. I am recording everything, and I will post the replay tonight or tomorrow morning. Ross says, not sure I understand weight back as you are moving your right rear foot forward. How do you put weight back while lifting that foot? Yeah, I think it's more the upper body. It's more to make sure that the upper body does not get out in front of your lower body. So if you think about the back foot sliding up the way I do, is that sort of gets my upper body to be balanced on top of me.
Show
And
them
that's
the left one again, where your upper body, you're kind of arched back. That
yeah.
would probably be help the left to help
Okay,
to answer that one.
that.
The left video. So this weight back, you tend to think you're going to have your weight on your back foot. That's not
Right.
what you're saying.
Right.
So he brings his foot forward, and now, but you notice the upper body is back, but his weight is all straight up from his left leg to his left arm. That's where everything is centered. But you notice that he's leaning back just slightly. That's kind of balancing out the weight, and that would be the weight back, correct?
Yeah, yeah, and I can see the confusion on that. So
Yeah.
what I mean by weight back is you don't, because you're tossing in front, the instinct might be to just sort of follow the ball up here or out here with your upper body.
Mm-hmm.
And the look would be is that you'd be off balance, right? Your upper body would be in front of, as you pointed out, the left leg. And once that happens, you can reach up. You can't reach up as high as I can by doing it this way. You can reach up, but you end up jackknifing at the waist, so that you literally don't fall over. All right, let's see.
How about the one from power from the abs, as in bending backward and then straightening up? Let me do you think you get any power from the abs, as in bending backward and then straightening up?
Oh, that's the great Mike Lemens from Denver, Colorado.
Ah.
Oh, by the way, a little shout out. I just did those 50 videos in Denver Monday, and Mike Lemens is the inventor of the QM1, which is the quick mount fence mount for the cameras on the back fence.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Cool. I need one. I don't have one. I need one.
Well, I know the guy. I know the guy right here, Mike Lemens, and Mike. So Mike's thing went to at least originally went to just panelists. Maybe it's all panelists and attendees. Is this what he wrote? Do you think you get any power from the abs, as in bending backward and then straightening up? Is that what you wrote? Or is that what you read?
That's what I read. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Mike, again, thanks for letting me borrow the QM1 last Monday. It was a lifesaver for us. Appreciate that. And absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of core involved. And because the core on this with the abs is giving you some balance, right? And absolutely, it is giving you some balance and posture. And certainly I feel, reaching up with the racket shoulder, I'm sure the abs are involved too. So dude, get out there and start doing some more ab work. More core stuff.
I think that the abs is just more posture and stability for the center, so that you don't jackknife. Where because your power is going to be following up from the ground, from your legs, and so you need to be able to hold yourself up. I think lots of people just sort of crumple over and they go to hit the ball, as opposed to holding themselves up and using the center of the body.
Yeah, good. Larry's saying here about the best toss grip on the planet. Well, I appreciate that, Larry. And the toss grip that I got was from Mr. Stowe, which was as you can see here, maybe you can see it. So I'm on the left-hand video. I'm holding the ball like it's a glass of water. I'm not raising it with my palm up towards the sky. And I used to do that. I used to hold the ball with the palm facing up. And what I got, Lisa, was I would naturally just kind of flick it off the fingertips, flick it with a kind of snap in the wrist. But worse for me is I got an elbow bend. So what he told me, he had me hold it like water, like a glass of water, where the thumb and index and the third finger are along the sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And I really, from there, I then got a much straighter arm toss, but I felt the ball in the shoulder. I felt the ball in my tossing shoulder, in my tossing shoulder much better. And it just sort of, it would come out of the hand. And there you go.
Yeah. You know, when people started talking about holding it like an ice cream cone, a glass of water, initially, and that's a number of years ago, I thought, well, that's weird. That doesn't sound right. And then I discovered that that's what I did.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what I did.
Yeah.
Lots of times we do stuff and we don't know that we're doing it. And then I actually got out there and I'm doing it. And I'm like, oh, that's what I do. Okay. I guess it's okay.
All right, good. Here we go. We already have a promo for the Serve Master from Robin. Actually, he did it to all panelists. So just I can see this. No one else can see it. It says, use Lisa's serve device, which almost forces racket drop. There you go.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into in just a bit. Okay, from Bryant to all panelists. Darn it, I wish this was, while not pertinent yet with what you've covered so far, do you mind covering your pinpoint stance in regards to the topspin serve? I struggle with getting good leg drive. Started experimenting with pinpoint, and I noticed a big difference on my first serve. Haven't done it enough to trust for a second serve. And there was also another comment about I don't have a lot of knee bend, right? And I kind of feel that it's overemphasized. I think a lot of teaching says, well, you cannot hit a great serve without a lot of knee bend. And I do believe that if you have knee bend where you can stay on balance and you've got good rhythm and timing with your toss, then fine. But I feel that I've got enough knee bend, and yeah, I'm probably the master of the credit card jump, right? Maybe 2 credit cards in there.
Look at that air.
Yes. But
yeah.
I think trying to work on just the knee bend, if you don't do these other things first, if you haven't mastered these other things first, I think it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, you're just dissipating you're right.
Dr. Wallace in Reno, Nevada, good to have you on today, Doc. Looking forward to seeing you this fall down the desert.
Let's
Joe,
not skip over this one. Of all things you've shown, what's specific to the topspin serve versus a flat serve? So maybe, I know this is supposed to be about the topspin, but tell them what's different about, what are you doing differently to hit a flat serve?
Okay, well, first of all, I don't hit a flat serve.
Okay, I don't either, but.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, to me, my first serve is a variation of my second serve. Mm-hmm. So it is simply, I'm getting less spin on my first serve than I am on my second serve.
Yeah.
And so what I might do on my, and this is a second serve toss position here on the left-hand side video. My first serve is the same exact motion, but I get the toss just a hair further in front. And what that means is I can't, without foot faulting, I can't get the same amount of spin here if I put my toss there than I can back here.
Right.
So I used to think that, the flat serve, well, it's flat. Well, the geometry says that I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so the only difference really is just, for me, it's just toss placement. And in terms of disguising that, if I toss my ball in front to the same exact 1 o'clock position, the returner can't tell.
Yeah.
They can't tell if it's going to have less spin or more spin from that position.
Yeah. So the answer to the question there is you're just specifically maybe move your ball toss forward 4 inches, and the serve will have less spin, but it won't be flat. But it's in the same position.
That's right. I cannot get as much spin with the ball out there in front.
Correct.
I still hit up. I still reach up. I still do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just that because there's less spin, there's less arc.
Yeah.
Going over the net. So it's not as safe, right? It doesn't. I mean, would I use that for a second serve? Probably not.
Yeah.
There's Robin. I picked up a real kick by tossing at least at 12, if not 11. Once you get down hitting up 7-1, then you have. Okay, Robin. Well, you must be a flexible ninja. I don't have that kind of flexibility. Okay, so
I used to toss it way back, but I can't do that anymore.
I did too.
It's not happening.
I did too. Okay,
And
let's
you
go.
get a lot of kick. You get a really good angle at the ball, but you know, it's not happening anymore.
Yeah. So Dr. Bruce wants to know a little discussion regarding the platform stance versus the pinpoint stance. So the pinpoint stance being, I'm starting in the platform. I'm on the left side here, where I wouldn't slide the foot forward, right? And really, for me, if I want to get my 2 credit card jump, I have got to get that back foot into more of a pinpoint.
Yeah.
And not that you should do this, because I still tinker with this. I still tinker with just simply starting it here, tossing it, and just kind of turning, just turning up on the toe, and that just turns the body forward.
Yeah.
But I just have done this forever, and lots of players naturally are better with the platform than they are trying to slide the foot up. There's not a right way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think the mistake that happens with most players is right there where you are right now. The right foot usually comes too far forward, even with the left foot.
That's right.
And then your hips are facing the net. So that's
right.
To me, that's if somebody's hitting a pinpoint, that would be 90% of the time. That's the error. And then you're losing all your power because your right foot actually comes even or in front of the left foot, and now you've killed your forward rotation. So,
and plus it makes it much tougher to stay sideways at contact.
Well, you can't. Yeah, it brings you forward. It brings you forward. I like the platform where, typically I'm going to teach somebody from the beginning not to do a pinpoint, because I think it's just one more degree of difficulty for timing. That's, if something that's already very complicated. But if somebody naturally does it, then you just got to do it the right way.
Al is asking, which service location do you find easiest to get to with the serve and the deuce, and add courts, backhand, body, or forehand? Al, what I'm doing is I'm serving 70% of the time to the body in singles and in doubles. If it's a kick serve, a first serve, a kick serve, I might be going. I might be going to the ad side just to try to get the ball to bounce up high in the backhand side. And if they want to run around it, I like that because it pulls them off the court. If they want to run around and hit a forehand, that's fine. And then on the deuce side, I mean, I'm going body 70% of the time, trying to tie up their stroke technique. And then I'm going to probably 15% out wide and 15% to the tee. In singles and doubles, I serve the body most of the time because I just feel like it's, first of all, it's safer. It's in the middle of the box, but second of all, I'm forcing that returner to have to move out of the way. And as we get older, my discovery is that I'm discovering that guys don't move as well out of the way. Okay, here's David. I have a powerful flat end slice serve from a platform stance. When I try to hit a kick serve, I lose a ton of power. I've reclaimed some power from a knee bend, but I tend to hit a glancing blow that doesn't produce the same pop as my other serves. Is this common? I think I need to move my toss forward instead of throwing it backwards over my head. Bingo. I think he answered your question there, David. Yeah, I would try getting it out in front because that's where your power source is at that contact point. Jerry is asking me, what part of the ball are you aiming at? I'm aiming for a swing path that's probably going, if I'm just going pure top, not slice, it's about 7-1, somewhere in there. I'm not too concerned because the ball's out in front, and if I'm staying sideways and with the proper grip, you asked me, I guess we're shocked, Lisa. We haven't seen anyone ask about the grip yet.
I know. I've been waiting.
So I'm using kind of a hybrid between the continental and the Eastern backhand grip, because for me, for my fingers, my hand, my whatever, when I get the toss in front and I say sideways at contact, that grip helps me address the ball so that I get a top. I just naturally get top. Now look, some people, and I've tried it with a full Eastern backhand, I can get top, but I get too much. Right? If I get over the racket and get a full Eastern backhand grip, I can top it fine, but I don't get much power.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the racket angle is going to be bad with the ball forward of you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So Jerry, hope that helps. Here's another plug for Mike Lamens. The QM1 is great. The Quick Mount 1 fence mount. Don, can you respond to teaching that topspin kick serve movement comes from tomahawk swing to side fence? Lisa, I'll let you take that one.
What's that? I don't see the question.
I know you don't. It says, Don's asking, can you respond to teaching that topspin kick serve movement comes from the tomahawk swing? So it's like you know, you bend the elbow. It's kind of like a tomahawk chop to the side fence. And for me, no, it's a forward swing.
Yeah.
It's not
a sideward swing. Yeah.
No,
I mean, it's going because of where the ball toss is located. Your racket's going to swing from left to right, but it's still it's a forward swing. You're not swinging out to the right like That's a tomahawk swing.
Yeah, no, it's a forward thing, and you know, it's just it's when do you open the hand?
Yeah.
To get the racket angle so that you spin that you want. And Gwen, I thought, asked the best question so far, just to me. What is the credit card jump? And the credit card
How thick is a credit card? Not even an eighth of an inch, 16th of an inch.
So Gwen, I was kind of joking about how high I jump. And if you lay a credit card down on the court, it's hardly anything, right? So I was saying, well, I've got a credit
Slide
card.
one under his feet when he's in the air.
That's right. That's how high I get. Okay, let's go. All right, some guys are having to leave. We're actually 15 minutes past what I told everyone we'd do. We're almost to an hour. Yeah, and guys, listen, I'm not saying that leg drive is not important. It is important. You've just got to be able, it just makes the timing tougher of everything we're talking about. It makes it tougher. So if you can master the tossing motion, the finish position, and get yourself settled in on balance, and you have I'm not saying deep, but you got a pronounced knee bend, then fine. That's great. Okay. Brian said, address pronation. Like to see the window to the right showing a left to right swing. If you don't mind, the tomahawk throw. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the right video, and we are going to look at the swing path. Now you won't see it in this because you won't see the side angle, but
right.
If you look at it now, if I swing, I mean, look at the racket angle, guys. I mean, this is the classic, the racket's on its edge. It's starting to go up on its edge, right? The side of the racket's going up. Now it's starting to open, but it's moving forward. How come it's moving forward? Because the toss is out in front. It can't go side to side. And right about here, I'm releasing the wrist. It's called pronation. It's a fancy word for simply just turning your hand.
Your hand going from an inside position to an outside position.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Right. So call it whatever you want, but it's not.
But there's the left-right swing that I think everyone confuses. Everyone go back a little bit. Go back the other way. So it's on the racket drop. So a little further, a little more. Right. So there. See, that's to the left. And now the racket's, it's not a pronounced left to right, but the racket is moving from the left side when it's on its drop to the right up to the ball. And I think that's
okay. That's fine.
I think that's what people are talking about when we talk about the left-right swing.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does drop behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, maybe the left-right is because the toss is to the right. Yeah, if the toss was
Well, it's because when your racket's down your back, it's the racket tip is over to the left. When
Yeah.
you drop, anyone drops their racket as a right-hander, the tip is going to be over more to the left than it will be to the right. See, if it's left of center of your back on the drop when you're in the back. So go back. Oh, thank you for blowing it up. Very nice.
There you go.
It's right there. It's over right there. When you drop it, it's to the left, correct?
That's right.
Now it finishes going up on the right. That's all that is.
Right.
It has to be that way just because of that's the looping motion in the back.
Good. Good. All right, let's go. I think we've exhausted the chat box here. So other power secrets, I think we've done this. No death grip. You know, if you're having trouble with, you've got the toss in front, you've got the right spin. It could be that you're not trusting a high enough trajectory over the top of the net. And you got to think that the trajectory helps with the bounce. So you don't have to think, well, I got to just clear the net and get a big bounce out of that. Right? You mentioned, what was you saying earlier when we did the test, Lisa?
Oh, everyone wants the ball to go low over the net but bounce high.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't work that way.
No,
It'd be like hitting a low topspin ball, low ball, and expecting it to bounce high. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
It's all about trajectory.
Yeah. So once you get the feeling of the spin and how the ball releases off the racket into, you know, when you get topspin, don't fear a high trajectory, or I should say a high height over the top of the net. Because once you get the toss out in front, you're getting more swing speed, you're getting better power. When you stay sideways at contact, you're getting the type of upspin you want, which creates the start of that trajectory that starts up, right? But the spin is what brings it back down. And if you don't have the spin, if you don't have faith in the spin, then you know what happens is you just rely on gravity. And that's when you start just kind of pushing in second serves. Okay, let's go on here. So I want you to talk about what you've got, the Serve Master over at the TotalServe.com. We got a picture of you here.
Oh yeah.
There's the beautiful Lisa Dotson right there for all you guys who are wondering what she looks like. So how did you, hold on for a sec here. How did you, what was the reason for inventing this?
Well, kind of a little bit of everything that we've talked about. I used to use a makeshift sort of product that was like a string with a weight, and you know, I sewed on a handle like a lot of people do, and it just helped a lot of people because the serve, as you understand it, you can't really describe what something feels like, and you can try and talk your way people through a serve, but it really doesn't do very much good. There's nothing like feeling something and getting that aha moment right away. It's like, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. And so, you know, when you're trying to create a good serve path, the best way to do it is with something like that, which is a loose, flexible, weighted object that you can't control. And you just have to get it moving on the right path. And that's how you're basically going to learn, you know, what body part goes with what. You know, when does my toss arm go with my swing? How do I put all of this together? And the biggest thing, and I get a lot of people say, oh, well, I use a sock with balls in it. And I've done that too. And I used a sock with balls in it for many, many years. But I've yet to see a sock that has a grip. And the serve is grip-based. You can't hit a proper serve without somewhat of a correct grip with a correct grip. So, you know, you can use the sock as much as you want, and it's a sock, and you can get the motion as soon as you put your hand on a racket with a grip in the same place, you're going to change it because it feels too uncomfortable, and you feel that edge going forward, and you don't know how to trust the edge, which we all need going towards the ball. So whatever it was had to have a grip. I got really badly injured, and I had about a year off the court. And I thought, okay, well, this is my time to mess around with making a product. And I had no idea what I was doing. And here we are almost
Yeah,
10 years
no.
later, and it's going pretty well.
Yeah, no, it's a great product because the serve is clearly the most complicated
Yeah,
stroke in the game, and
yeah,
trying to talk someone through it is rough.
yeah,
I don't care how good a teaching pro you are, trying to talk someone through all the different things that happen with a serve is almost impossible. And the serve master, I've swung, I've swung it several times. It just gives you the feeling without having to think about, well, how do all the parts work? It just gives you that feeling. So, we've talked a little bit about, I think your young junior you've got now, but I'm sure you've got some students who have used the serve master where they did have problems with, especially with their topspin serve before.
oh yeah.
Let's call them, I'm not going to call them senior players, but let's call them non-junior players, non-college players. Give us a story. Give us one of your student result stories.
Well, I mean, really one of the most dramatic ones is something that's happening right now with a player named Alicia Parks. She's been playing pro for about 8 months now. She's just broken into the top 500. My prediction is she's going to be very, very highly world ranked player. And she's been using Serve Master for she's 18 now, started when she was about 10. And huge serve. She's serving 130 miles an hour.
Oh.
She's got every serve in the book. She's 6'2", just an incredible athlete. And I think that was a big part of her foundation for her serve, and that's just a centerpiece for her game. So that's a huge success story for her and for me as well. And then just on a daily basis, I teach mostly at this point in time a lot of club players, and I get to work with some college players and some advanced players here and there. But just with club players, just put the Serve Master in their hand and have them mess around with it, go through the motion. And pretty much what happens every time is we get them to do the complete fluid service motion, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, put the racket in their hand, toss the ball up, and they hit the best serve of their life. And I always kind of go, damn, I didn't have my camera again. It's like this instant magic moment, and I keep forgetting to video it. And then they can't really do it again for a little while. But it's the shock on the face is like, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. How did I do that? And so it's a matter of loosening up. The Serve Master lets you be loose and flexible and whippy. You have to be, otherwise it kind of hits you and it bobbles around and it feels terrible.
That's great.
So you just kind of learn to let it work for you.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I would highly encourage you to pick up one of Lisa's Serve Masters over at thetotalserve.com, and generously she's offering us 15% off just for you guys who are attending the webinar. The coupon code once you get over there is 15 off Webclass. That's a 150, not 150, but 15 off Webclass is the coupon code. And if you forget it, don't worry about it. I'll be sending an email out with a webinar replay, hopefully later tonight, which will have that in there for you. I think it's good until August 29th. So Lisa, appreciate your generosity on that. And then guys, if you want to dig deeper on your topspin serve, I've got a full course that I want to get to you. It's over at webtennis.com. And all you have to do is just drop in the first name and email address, click the button, you get access to that free course I've got for you. Also offering a complimentary 15-minute coaching call that if there's something that you just cannot figure out about your topspin serve, then let's get on a call. And it's a private one-on-one call, just the two of us. It's free. And just go ahead and describe that one thing that you just can't figure out in your serve, and I'll see if I can't put you on the right path to getting the result that you want. Webtennis.com, or if you're already signed up my email list, any email has got a link that will take you to my online calendar scheduler where you can get signed up for a date and time that works best for you for a 15-minute call. Guys, any more questions? Lisa, I'm going to let you go if you want. But I really appreciate your time. I'm going to stay on here for a while if anyone's got any more questions. And people are signing off. Guys, any other questions? Just go ahead and fire away in the chat box. You guys are welcome. I'm glad you could join us today.
Thanks, Brent. This was really good. It was fun.
Good.
Very
Lisa,
fun.
we'll be in touch.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
So, guys, I am still here. Happy to answer any questions. If you want me to bring up the videos, I can do that for you again. Appreciate all you guys hanging out with me. I know we ran a whole lot later than what I thought we would, but 45 minutes has now turned into an hour and 15 minutes. But I hope you got something today. And if you're still here, would love to, if there's one thing that really kind of jumped out at you today in what was taught, maybe type that into the chat box. I would love to know just some feedback if there's one thing that kind of resonated with you. Joe is saying, do you feel like your elbow moves backward and forearm forward at the ball strike? I find that I do pronate, but often after I've actually hit the ball. So my elbow moves backward and forward. Boy, Joe, you know, what I'd like to do is get on a call with you so that you can explain it for me better than what I'm sort of understanding just from the text. It might be easier. If you don't know how to get onto my calendar scheduler, just go over to webtennis.com. If I get my email list, if you're not on my email list, any email from me should have a link in there so that you can get signed up for a free coaching call. Yeah, I agree, Robin. I agree. Blacking out the net so you can't see the target is huge. Okay, Pete. I like the process, so I'd like to see your smiling face. All right, dude. Here, hold on for 1 second. I think I can get my smiling face on here. Let me see if I can do that. Come here. Start video. Let's see. How about that? Is my smiling mug on there? Let me know. I can't get my racket to drop way down, so I can't get good racket head speed. Any other drills or tips? JR, yeah, I'm curious as why. I mean, a lot of players can't get into that racket drop position I showed you because of some kind of injury, right? And so if you've got any kind of shoulder impingement or you've got any kind of issues with the elbow, you might not be able to get that racket drop. But the biggest reason players don't, barring an injury, is because the grip is just way too tight. You're just too strong as you go up. And I see it a lot with players who are trying to tinker with a different grip. Someone's saying, well, you got to go more away from continental. You got to get more towards an Eastern backhand. And so they're trying to hold this new grip, and they're holding it so tight that they can't get any racket drop. There's just no way. So what I would suggest is seeing how loose you can get on try to move the chat thing over here a little bit. There we go. It's just try to get more relaxed. Just try to get more relaxed in your hand, and just trust that, we've heard a million times that it's like a throwing motion, but it is because throwing motion, like if you take the ball, you don't squeeze it tight, right? You don't have the death grip on it. If you did, it would barely come out of your hand. So you have to trust all of the biomechanics of what's going on with a throw, which is the same thing with the serve. And if you're not getting the racket down your back, then you're just too strong in the grip. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. Does the serve arm end up in the left or right side of the body? Well, that's a good question, Oliver. Look, we saw Boris Becker, we saw Pete Sampras, right-handed servers, end up on the right side, right? They would go up and they would just go ahead and turn the hand and leave it there. They did not come back down across the body. I will do that sometimes with students just so they get the feeling of how they turn the hand, how they pronate. But it's always got to be with a word of caution, because every time you finish on the right side, you are putting the brakes of your natural, shoulder motion coming forward. And, that's just ripe for an injury. So I don't do that. I actually finish it on the left side of my body. Let's see. Robin, you sound like a complete ninja stud, man. Yeah, okay. Well, good. I mean, sounds like you for sure used to have a great kick serve. Maybe you do. Maybe you still do. Guys, would be cool to make sure your comments are to all panelists and attendees. Joe says the big surprise for me was the stay sideways tip. Can't wait to get up the court and work on this. Good, man. I think you'll love it. You might, and you're staying sideways, it might mean that you serve a little bit more. I mean, ball might go a little bit more to your right for a while. That's cool, but you'll get a feel for it. Pete, no problem, man. I love doing this. I love this teaching thing. I love this format. I feel like I can connect with so many more players this way. Tom, well done. I had asked for the follow-through ends. Fortunately, one of your last run-throughs, the right video from the back showed the follow-through is on your left side. I was taught to hit the kick serve on the right side. Nah, you don't have to. You don't have to finish on the right side. I mean, to me, it's forcing it. The ball's already left. The ball's already left. You don't need to then force with this kind of massive pronation. That just seems like, injury central. Great in the grip, Robin. Cool. Seems like I can't get my elbow up, JR. Yeah, man. Let's see. JR, can't get the elbow up. Well, I'd need to see what you're doing. It could be that you're not finishing your tossing motion. I thought Lisa brought up a great point. In fact, let me go back to, whoops. Sorry about that. And where did my chat box go? Let's see. I don't want this. Here we go. Hang in there with me, guys. Just a sec. Let's get rid of that. And here we go. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this video, JR. So I can't get my elbow up, which drops the racket as well. Yeah, I mean, I really feel like I'm pushing, maybe that's not the right word, but I'm really thinking now with the ball up here, I'm really thinking about what can I do? Wow, what's going on here, man? Hold on. That's not supposed to be happening. One more time. There we go. I'm thinking the shoulder is going up, right? And so when the shoulder goes up, it seems to drop the racket along with the elbow, right? The elbow doesn't really drop, right? And then the elbow goes up. And again, because the toss is out in front, I don't have to force it in here. Don't have to force it. Okay, I hope that helped. Again, guys, if you have any questions that you think we'd be better off on a complimentary 15-minute coaching call, just the two of us, it's a private one-on-one. If you haven't already gotten on my email list, go over to webtennis.com. You'll get two things. You'll get my free Topspin Serve course, the entire course, but you'll also get access to my online calendar scheduler where you can pick a date and time that works best for you. But also, if you are on my email list, anytime you get an email from me, somewhere in the email, you're going to find a link that will take you to the calendar scheduler. Robin, I've seen people take an old rag and throw it over the screen onto grass beyond. Yep, I learned that too. Thank you, Brenda and Lisa. All right, Gwen. And it's Brent. That's okay. A little typo. Of course, my voice maybe over time is kind of, I've lost it, Scott. There you go. There you go. I see you say, okay, that's fine. There you say that. That should say Brent. You have a bit of the Sampras finish with the bent arm. Some pros do and some don't. That's from Robin. Doing that hurts my shoulder. Well, you do go to the right in your basic move, especially the side view. Yeah, okay. So it might go out there, and you're right. If it hurts your shoulder, then don't do it. Just don't do it. But in the meantime, if it's hurting your shoulder, relax your grip tension. Just just relax the grip tension, and that may clear it up. Oliver, thanks for hanging out with us. Used to is the apt arm. Not sure what that means. The twist came naturally to me. Not so the slice. I never had a good serve out wide and deuce court. I was okay until I played lefties. I think your advice regarding the toss location will help them move. Yeah, good. Yeah, Lisa is disciplined. That's great. No, that's cool. JR, you're welcome, man. You look like, Robin, thank you. You look like you can hit your serve in your sleep. Wonderful to have that to rely on. As I said to you, your confidence shows in how little fuss there is before your second serve. Yeah, I actually probably need to take a little more time if I miss my first serve. Been told that. But I got confidence in it because, you know, of what Mr. Stowe showed me a long time ago. And obviously I've hit a million serves since then. So the keys today, guys, really, let's start getting the toss further in front so that you have a more natural place contact-wise to generate racket speed and get the racket moving through the ball. You'll get more power. And then staying sideways is going to help you get the spin that you want, right, with that power. And, you know, the other tips that we kind of threw out there today. So, guys, no more messages, I am going to sign out. My beautiful wife in there is, you can probably hear, she's got the bowls cranking, and we got dinner just about going. I can't wait. But listen, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me and Lisa today. I really appreciate it. I highly recommend that you go over and take advantage of that 15% discount that Lisa's offering on the Serve Master. You know, we've talked a lot about today, all the different technique, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that you can learn the feeling of so much more with the product she invented. So, guys, that is it for me. Any more questions, just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Thanks so much for hanging out. And, guys, you got to get out there today. Help someone else have a spectacular day. And thanks again for hanging out.